Welcome to another episode of A Pursuit of Man. Before we get started today, I have to clear something up. I was raised by two awesome parents who instilled amazing values inside me, and I've done my best to stay the course and stay with those values. I was raised with a set of values that I've done my best to uphold and instill inside of me. Of course, when I was growing up, I pushed those boundaries. That's what we do when we're children and we're learning and we're growing. We push those boundaries so we know where we're supposed to be. Now, I have received some feedback based on my first video. Some of it was quite ridiculous, and some of it made me actually think about it clearly. No matter what, I think it definitely tells the story of how some people decide to see me. This video is about my father. In my first video, I stated it all started when I was a teenager and I started search and rescue. Now, when I said that, I specifically mentioned how it was a world outside of my own, and it was amazing to see. Now, some of you chose to see that as neglecting my father and his input in my life, and some of you just saw it for what it was, a world outside of my own. A world outside of the normal. Because yeah, my father is a man, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about how I grew and how I overcame the things that I overcame. How I grew as a person outside of my family, outside of my father's role as a father and as a man. My father is a great man. Now, some of you are mistaken. You're using your own emotions and your own experiences to cloud your judgment and put them onto me as for my experience and my emotions. But you don't get to tell me how I feel about my father. And quite frankly, the people who have come forward to tell me these things, I find it ridiculous that I even have to say any of this, because they know how much I love my father. They know what role my father played in making me who I am today. I find it absolutely ridiculous that they would question any of that. So let's go. Honestly, the first thing that I can remember and actually articulate was when I was who knows how old, but I would break my toys because I knew that my father could fix them, and I wanted to watch him fix them. I wanted to know how he did it. I wanted to know how the item worked and how he would fix it. It seemed like I would give him a toy and he'd fix it in a couple seconds. It seemed pretty easy. Why couldn't I fix it? If I were to break something, I want to fix it. So then I didn't have to bother him. I even wrote a paper about this in high school. It was called Mr. Fix-It. It was all about how my father gave me the skills that I have today. My career is based on those skills. When I was 12 or 13, my dad took me to a hunter's education course. We talked about the different animals that you can hunt, the different calibers you can use to hunt them, and the different actions and different types of weapons that you use to hunt with. We also talked about how to, where to shoot to humanely kill the animal for meat. My father and I went hunting a lot. Mostly turkey, but also occasionally we went for deer as well. Turkey hunting is probably my favorite. I can't remember all the conversations that we used to have while hunting, but I remember how they made me feel. I will always remember the way I felt after a good discussion on life or just being a good person. I'd be asleep on the highway when my father would turn up the music as loud as you can possibly imagine, AC/DC, Ted Nugent, or Rush, and it's always on the solo, just so he could use the steering wheel as a guitar and wham on it as the solo's going. Cat Scratch Fever by Ted Nugent will always remind me of the 2005 Chevy Colorado with mossy oak seat covers and the stench of coffee, that weird smell you get from turning on the heat in your car, and cigarettes. When I was growing up, excuses were weak. Of course, he never said this, but you could tell by his facial expression when you gave him an excuse. I was helping him put up Christmas lights, and I didn't want to get off the roof to go to the bathroom or whatever I was doing. I didn't want to get off the roof from the A-frame ladder that was right off of the roof on the ground. I didn't want to. I'd rather go in through the window, as I've done multiple times before, because it was a lot safer. But when I told Dad this, he said, no, you're going to go down the ladder and you're going to like it. And I said, no, I don't feel comfortable with it. I'm scared. I don't want to fall and get hurt. And you know what he said? Don't be a pussy and do it. I felt a sense of wanting him to be proud of me in that moment. So of course I went against all of my fears and I did it. Very slowly, very cautiously, but I did it. Even today, some things that I'm doing, that little voice inside your head tells you this isn't safe, don't do it. Sometimes his voice comes up and says, don't be a pussy, just do it. I'm still alive, so it works. And every single time that comes up, I do feel like I'm making him proud, even if he doesn't even know these things happened. I spent my childhood in the garage with him, working on everything, fixing everything. Whatever it was, I was in there helping him with it. He had this way of being able to fix just about anything, well, he still does, fix just about anything you can think of. And he's collected so much stuff around that no matter what it is, somehow in some drawer in his toolbox or a little box that was underneath the toolboxes, he has what you need, the exact piece that you need for whatever it is. He taught me that few things are really broken beyond repair. And if you had the manual, you could understand how it worked and be able to see why a problem is happening and to stop it from happening, whether it's replacing the part or fixing a broken piece. We fixed many cars growing up together, including my own. With the top of the list is a 66 Mustang, which was my mother's dream car. I used to love to go to work with him after school sometimes and on the weekends when he had to go in for an emergency. I loved going to my dad's work because he does what he's teaching me how to do all day at work, and that's what I loved. And I loved spending time with him because every time there was something that needed to be fixed, he wouldn't just fix it and say, okay, let's go home. He'd explain what's going on, how it works, and why it's broken. Every chance that I got to feed off of that and gain the knowledge that I wasn't even old enough to really comprehend most of the stuff that he was saying, but I have to believe that a lot of that has been instilled inside me because now that's how my brain works. In fact, much of which that he does and said are in me now, and it's what I do currently in my job. My career and my abilities are all thanks to him. The way he cultivated me in the thought process of diagnosing a problem. From a very early age, I was interested, but he took the time to really dive down and deep, even when I couldn't even comprehend it. And he knew that I couldn't comprehend it. But it was the foundation that built on. When I was older, I was able to understand more and more and more. A good, honest day's work, one you can hang your hat on, is what he taught me. Your value isn't designated by a person or a company. It's designated by you. You know your value. How much are you putting in? You can work a good day and hang your hat on it, but was it your best day? Or do you need to do some more work? Or tomorrow, are you going to put in more work to really hang your hat on that day? My first maintenance job was a maintenance tech 2 position. I got it because I did have a certificate in HVAC and refrigeration, and they really liked that. However, I knew nothing about drywall or really electrical. I dabbled in it, but I didn't really know that much about it. During my job there, my job was to perform work orders, which is anything's broken inside an apartment, I would fix them. Turn units that had been vacated. Someone moved out and someone needs to move back in, so we go in there and we make it ready for the new people to move in. And then I showed interest and I was able to start learning the process of the budgeting, the inventory management, and scheduling the vendors to come in and do the work. I was good at what I did, and I'm good at what I do now. And most of that comes from my father. Hanging my head on the day. I was able to do more, and I knew I was able to do more. So I searched for more to do. Every job that I've ever had, every title that I've ever held, I did more than I was supposed to do. Now that's just who I am, but it's who I am because of my father. If I wanted to hang my hat on that day, I needed to go above and beyond, get out of my comfort zone, learn new skills, and do the best I could. A good, honest day's work that you can be proud of and hang your hat on. Now, of course, this is just a glimpse into the man my father is. But everything that I am, everything that I do, is because of who he is. Anyone who doubts that, they don't know who I am. Your experience is not my experience. Your emotions shouldn't come into consideration of who I am. I know who I am. Do you know who you are? Be a better man than you were yesterday. Thanks for watching.